TOA, Fit Body Forever, and Fit Body Bootcamp communities. What's up, everybody? Robert Linkul with TrainingTheOlderAdult.com and the Director of Education with Fit Body Bootcamp here to talk to you today about a new article that one of our good friends and affiliates sent over to us. And in that article, there are the discussions of the progressive natural loss of muscle mass through the aging process, which I am still trying to find better ways, I guess I would say, to describe to people about how it doesn't have to be such a severe drop-off that we see. But just to give you a quick example before we dive into this is the disability threshold. And basically, your amount of muscular strength is on that vertical axis, and then your age, your lifespan, is on the bottom axis. And as you start off in life, your strength and ability levels are very low, and then they come up, they get really high. And then right around 55, 60, if you're not really doing a whole lot, physical activity, resistance training, etc., things start to taper down. You start to lose muscle mass, and eventually you get to a point where you're in the disability threshold, which means you need to rely on a cane or a walker or a wheelchair or someone else to help take care of you, right? And so that's what we're trying to avoid by implementing in resistance training. So this new study takes a look at kettlebell training in particular. So let's dive into this here a little bit. Are kettlebells the key to staying strong and fighting inflammation as you age? New research explains. We're going to go through the article first, and then we'll look at the research article in a second. This is Lauren Higgins, published January of 2025. All right, facts about this. New research finds kettlebell training can strengthen muscles and reduce inflammation as we age. Right away, I hear that and I go, okay, it doesn't specifically have to be a kettlebell that can increase strength in muscles. It can be any overload, right? Any overload. This could be a kettlebell, a dumbbell, a barbell, a sandbag, resistant bands, cable pulleys. It could be anything that is overload. And overload is going to be defined as more weight than you are comfortably or consistently capable of moving over and over and over and over again with little to no ease. That means if you pick up your purse and your daily backpack and you carry that around all day long, your body's pretty used to that. But if you picked up a 35-pound bag of concrete or a bucket full of gravel in your yard, your body would go, whoa, this is significantly heavier. We can do it, but this is an overload. This is a challenge for us. If you kept picking that bucket up over and over again, day after day, eventually your body would adapt. It would get stronger. And the way it feels about your purse or your backpack that you carry every day that seems to be easy, that's how it would feel about the rocks, right, in the bucket. So our goal is, can we get you to the point where we get you fairly strong, moving load on a regular basis for per capita, your age, as you go all the way up through 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 years of age, if you continue to stay in that upper 20% of your demographical strength, you should stay independent your entire life, be way less of a fall risk, have improved quality of life and decreased risk of early mortality, limitations, injuries, disease, etc. The more muscle mass you have, the longer you live, the healthier you live, okay? The kettlebell is a cast iron or steel ball with a round handle that can be used in a variety of different lifts. This is true, and it's why we utilize kettlebells so much, is I can grab a heavier kettlebell and we can deadlift. I can grab a lighter kettlebell and I can overhead press. There are different grip angles to hold it at. It's easy to manipulate and move it around. You can travel with it. You don't have to bring a barbell and a squat rack with you. Like, you can just work out. You can just have a couple of kettlebells and create a really great style of training. They can be really heavy strength focused, can be hypertrophy focused, where you want your muscles to get bigger. You have to lift heavier loads and some higher volumes and really find a peak of that's going to challenge you. And at the same time, you could do lighter weights and do more higher tempos and get more of a cardiovascular component to it. So it is a very useful tool compared to a barbell would be rather restrictive, hard to do some of the things we just talked about. All are great overloads. It's just the kettlebell is pretty easily adjustable. It's a Swiss Army knife of fitness, if you will. You can use it for a lot of different things. I'd like to try kettlebell. If you'd like to try kettlebell exercises or get into kettlebell training, they recommend you talk to a trainer first, of course. All right. Could kettlebell training be the key to helping preserve muscle strength as we age? Potentially, yes, according to new research. Again, we'll look at that in a minute. The study presented in November of 2024 looked at the findings of an exercise routine that may reduce inflammation and increase muscular strength in aging populations, even among people who haven't exercised regularly in the past. So let's look at that statement for a moment. Of course, someone who has never exercised or hasn't in the past, all of a sudden starts to exercise, they are going to make tremendous gains, okay? They are going to make tremendous gains. I was going to try to get this ad out of here. There we go. They can make tremendous gains because they haven't trained. It's the individuals that do train all the time. So if you exercise, I exercise, we exercise all the time. And then we go into this study and they're like, we're going to do kettlebell training. Let's see how much stronger we can make you. And we increase by 3%. Some people look at that and be like, oh, that's not very good, only 3%. And you're like, hey, I was already pretty damn strong. And the fact that I changed to something like this and it got me 3% stronger is great. That's a great finding. But if you've never trained before and you came in and you did kettlebells and they tested you day one and then a year later tested you again, you could have a 100% increase, a 200% increase on your strength because you started so low. It's like watering a plant that's never been watered before, right? Or it's been watered and grew a bit, and then you stopped watering it for like 5 weeks, and it was almost dead, and then you started watering. Oh, it flourished. It goes again. Same idea here. If you feed your muscles with this, you can make great gains. But plants that have been watered and fed in their whole life, all of a sudden you're like, you got to grow more, like way more. If you change a little bit of something, more sunlight, a little more fertilizer, whatever it is, right? And it gets 3% better, that's a great success there. So either way, trained or untrained, any introduction of resistance that's going to be a new stimulus is going to produce results, especially for those that have not trained before. So this is good. Nothing new that we didn't know, but this is all good. And I love the idea that the article is shedding light on an idea of like, hey, this is, business as usual. Like this is normal, but let's take a little twist on it and be like, have you heard of kettlebells? Here's something, maybe it's the kettlebell that would pique your interest to start to exercise. I actually really like that. All right, findings suggest that it's never too late to start a new exercise program. Absolutely. We had a mix of individuals from different backgrounds that had no prior exposure to resistance training. The study found, or the author is Davey Mazzala, PhD, said in the news release, our findings demonstrated that this type of training program leads to the benefits in even in individuals starting at an older age. Here's what we know about kettlebell training, how can it be beneficial, etc. They talk about how kettlebells are made and they originate from Russia. Absolutely. Kettlebell training increases muscular strength in aging bodies. So in this, they have a study of adults between 60 and 80 years old that were enrolled in Strength After 60 program at their local gym. The program involved 12 months of kettlebell training. They came in twice a week, and they worked at a rate of perceived exertion, RPE, of a 7 out of 10. That means about 70% intensity. So if you are doing a max effort lift, like as hard as you possibly can, max effort lift, and you're just crushing it, I'm like, hey, I need you to do 10 reps. And you do those 10 reps, and on the 10th rep, I say, can you do another one? And you're like, absolutely not. That was the last one. That would be a 10 out of 10. So if it was a 7 out of 10, you would have like 3 to 6 reps in reserve, something like that. It's about a 70% effort, and that's solid. What's going to help with that is it's going to be intense enough to make really good changes. What it's not going to do is put it too high of an intensity where for an aging body and for a new body that has not exercised like this before, the more you stress and the harder the challenge, the greater potential for them to get out of position and do something wrong or to overtrain a little bit and then potentially have an injury. So the 7 or an 8 out of 10 is like that perfect range where we're going to get good results and we're going to really minimize our opportunity for injury. Mind you, the risk of injury in the common fitness center gym is like 4 to 6%. It's pretty low. And the majority of those injuries are tripping over equipment, falling off of a treadmill that's been running. Like it's not I blew my back out doing deadlift. That's very, very rare for the mass amounts of people that go into gyms. It's usually because of, an accident, not necessarily a related to lifting, excessive load or something like that. Those are few and far between. They happen, of course, but, not nearly as much as just regular old accidents. Falling and tripping in the gym is the number one. After 6 months in the program, mind you, this was a 12-month program. After 6 months in the program, they found that participants' muscle mass, grip strength, and upper leg strength all increased. The increased grip strength was a key finding, research says. This is a big one. Grip strength dynamometers and grip strength testing is a very simple, very easy, very affordable way to get a great assessment score for somebody, where they are, and to see where they've gone to. Because the more weights they manipulate, the more lifting, the more training they do, the grip strength is going to be an overall full body snapshot, if you will, if they're getting better. So if you increase 4, 5, 6 pounds on your grip strength, that means you're going to have a 4, 5, 6% increase somewhere in the rest of your body. I'm just throwing out a number. It's going to show a correlation between the better your grip, the better your overall health, your overall strength is becoming. If it decreases, it means something else is going wrong. You have your outliers. You have people that just sit all day long and they work on their grip strength by crushing little handbars and all that stuff. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about people that are active every day, that are participating, and they see, a 10-pound increase on their grip strength. Across the board, they've improved. Majority of the time, 94% of the time, they have improved everywhere else as a indicating score from their grip strength. All right, this is clear inverse association between grip strength and all-cause and decrease specific mortality in older populations. Weaker grip is linked with a higher risk of death. Those sayings are always like, what are your potentials for death? 100%. Like we're all gonna, right? We get that. We mean like early on. The average American dies around 77, I think. The last time I looked, I think worldwide it's like 81. So Americans, we die, 3-4 years earlier than the world average. So compared to that number, if you are overweight, under-muscled, soft bone, you eat a lot of processed foods, it's like your average death rate's in the high 60s rather than the high 70s. But if you have adequate muscle mass or more muscle mass than your average individual per capita of your demographic of your age, your sex, your height, your across the board, they have breakdowns on each one of these. If you are overly muscle massed, you live longer. You live to be 85, 86. Like there's correlations between better muscle mass, higher amounts of muscle mass and bone density, and how you're going to live longer because that muscle mass helps defend your body against everything. Cognitive decline, physical issue decline, fall risk, disease. Like the more muscled you are, the better. And we don't mean bodybuilder muscle. It can mean that, but it doesn't mean that everybody has to be a bodybuilder. It just means having adequate muscle mass that helps you manipulate your body through the day. All right, after 12 months, it took participants less time to climb a flight of stairs and stand up from the seated position in a chair. Research also noted that muscle mass increased for participants and that there was a noticeable change in inflammation as well. Blood markers for whole body inflammation decreased among participants. So pretty cool. They talk a bit about how to get into kettlebell training, and they have a couple of different experts that say, hey, you can vary if you want more muscle mass, higher or lower tempos, etc. Talk to a couple of experts. New studies and participants found that general moves with kettlebell training like deadlifts, shoulder press, bent over row squats, and swings, etc. There's about 8 kind of stapled movements that you can do with a kettlebell. There's way more than that, but just kind of basic movements. There's about 8 of them you can do. 2 to 3 sets of 8 to 12 reps, right around there, can do some wonders for you. Just a drastic increase in improvement in your quality of life, overall posture, etc. Like it does a lot for you. And we're talking, 20 minutes twice a week, like nothing major, where if you said, hey, I'm going to get into a full class and like go to the gym and I want to be a part of this kind of a thing, then that's a little bit different. Okay. All right. This one gets you, that's not the research article. That one shows you a little bit more about kettlebells. And where was our research article link for that one? There's our inflammation. Is it in that one? Nope. That's what's inflammation. I want to find the study. Is that hyperlinked here? Oh, there we go. Let's click on that guy. And we'll dive into that one. Maintain muscle mass in older adults. Is this a steady? You hear my kids out there getting ready to go to school. Kettlebell training. Yeah, here we go. So this gives just a little bit more detail about the older adults participating in that 60 to 80-year-old strength after 60 program. I am so happy to see this. It really makes my heart happy to see that we're endorsing older adults lifting weights. If it's something that piques your interest, simply by saying, hey, look at this kettlebell. This is a new thing that we have that older adults can train with. It's not new. Kettlebells have been around for, I don't even know when the first design and generation of this, I should know it, in the 30s or 40s, I'm going to guess. Like the Russians were using kettlebell training during the Olympics in 52 and 56 when we were competing in Melbourne and Rome. Like they were utilizing kettlebell training, resistance training back then in formats and such that we didn't know about in the States. And we went and learned from the Russians and figured out how to use these. They called their kettlebells poods at the time, P-O-O-D or P-U-D, and they would throw them. And so we adapted that into our world of throwing in the hammer and the weight throw, et cetera. We would throw puds, and they enunciations are a little different from America to Europe, poods and puds, et cetera. And these were really cool implements that were like cast iron shells that would have concrete poured in the middle, and it had bracketed handles, and just things have slowly evolved to where you have this kind of kettlebell figure now that is a manipulated implement that weight is below and the handle is above, and it produces a lot less torque at the wrist and such than a dumbbell does. But it's harder to manipulate and catch and rotate and turn, and there's pressure against your arms and such that you need to get used to. And so there have been different designs on the kettlebells to accommodate that, et cetera. This is all great stuff to just inquire intrigue and have people go, oh, this sounds like something I could get into. We built a course, actually. This came out maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and it's an introduction course to TOA, to our style of training, and all it utilizes is kettlebells. That's it. So somebody would go out and they would buy a 10, a 15, and a 25-pound kettlebell. And so we've got something that we can push easily, we could row easily, and we could squat or deadlift with and have some good challenging weights. And that's the whole program was built around just like 2 to 3 kettlebells. And we had, 6 weeks of programming and never repeated anything. Like it was always just new designs, new stuff. We taught the basics. Kettlebell training is great for that. And that's the beauty of it, is you can have 2 or 3 of them and put them in the closet, and you've got all kinds of great ways to train. And or if you're traveling, they use them a lot in the military. They just throw a couple of kettlebells in the Humvee or wherever they're traveling in, and they can do workouts out in the middle of the desert, up in the woods, like wherever. So it's really a beautiful piece of equipment. It's very versatile. That's the word I was looking for earlier when I was talking about the Swiss Army knife. Like there's a word for this. I'm not finding it right now. There's a lot of good pieces for this that if this is something that, somebody 65 years old hears about, reads about, and goes, oh, I think I could get into kettlebell training. If this works, if this does it for you and it gets you into this, man, I'm so happy for you. Like this is exactly what we want, is more research, more information like this getting out there, inspire people to resistance train. I don't care what variation of overload gets you inspired. I want to do barbells. I want to work with, kettlebells. I want to do Indian clubs, or I want to use fat bells, or I want to use dumbbells or sandbags. I don't care. As long as it's overload and you're training and you're pushing yourself, you're keeping your heart healthy, you're building muscle mass, you're working on your bone density, you are going to live a really good, high quality, strong life, meaning that your body isn't going to be the thing that fails you, or won't fail you as often or nearly as much as an average person your age that doesn't resistance train. And that right there, twice a week for 20 minutes. I don't know how long their class was, twice a week for maybe a half hour or whatnot. That right there is completely worth the investment. Here, let me leave you with this. There's 168 hours in a week. And I just said if you did 2 30-minute sessions a week, you can make huge improvements in your quality of life and your life expectancy, how long you plan to live. Not only the better quality through that time, but live longer. So let's say if I asked you, just start doing this twice a week for a half an hour, Mondays and Thursdays, half an hour on each day. Instead of dying at 77, you're going to live to be 83 now. Would you do it? I think most people would say yes, right? 1 hour a week, 2 half hours, 1 hour a week, 168 hours. So you have 167 other hours to do whatever you want with your life, right? Now, ideally, you're eating healthier and you're doing walks on the other days, and maybe you pick up a third day at some point. All of it's only going to benefit you. But if you just do those 2 days, you could increase, again, I'm not, just giving you some ideas, that it would increase your life expectancy greatly. 4 or 5 years. Why would you not jump on that? It's an hour. It's an hour out of your life. And so much so, if someone's like, can't afford it, $60 gets you a really nice kettlebell that you can use. That's one of those. $60 would get you a 35-pound kettlebell, 30-pound kettlebell. You're good to go. If you can work with that, you're great. It could be even less. You could buy a $20 kettlebell. All right, get a 15-pound kettlebell for $20, $25. You're good to go. So cost is not an issue with this. Save up if you need to for a couple of months, buy a good kettlebell, or get an adjustable kettlebell from Power Block. They make great adjustable kettlebells. You get 4 kettlebells in one implement, okay? You don't have to go to the gym. You don't have to pay a gym membership. Storage is very simple. It sits in the corner, you put it in the closet. What other objections do you have? It's too expensive. No, it's not. I have to travel to the gym. I got to buy them. No, you don't. I don't like working out with other people. Fine. You're in your own house, right? Oh, I don't know what to do. That's when you buy a program, something you can follow, or I'm worried about not doing things right. That's when you hire yourself a coach. Some coaches come in-house. Others will go online with you like this. These are all overcomable objections to give you a very simple way to do this, a half an hour twice a week, to have all of these positive components brought into your life. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope we got to learn some good things. If there's any comments, discussions you want to have down in the comment section, hit me up. Please subscribe and like the channel and share this out with anybody else that might find some interest in it. We would love to help grow the community, get more people to watch and see our content, and help us improve and hopefully increase quality of life for everybody out there. That is the mission. The ultimate mission is to stop sarcopenia, and that is our pursuit. All right, everybody. Have a great day. I love and appreciate you all. And until next time, continue to fight your good fight against sarcopenia. We will see you in the next one. Take care.